that should also be her.
Plot armor.
Speaking of armor, her armor would also be very hot.
Like, does she need a bathroom buddy or something? Like, what? That's like weird. It's like, it's almost like she needs someone to comfort her. Like, she needs like a companion right now. She's like super shook.
Like, where's my boyfriend? Oh my god. Oh shoot.
Oh, man.
Dude, that's the guy who oh my.
He said war wasn't for him, bro.
I know. That's what makes it even more
Yeah.
plot armor.
I was thinking the same thing.
But it's still intense. It was still intense, but I'm like, it's okay. He's still to have the ring.
Plot armor is not even the right word because we see them in the. We know they're in all integral parts of Lord of the Rings.
And he's gonna be like, evil?
Peril, evil.
Evil!
Evil!
Just like Sadak
What was supposed to happen there? I don't get it. And I know I said this last time the dad and the son were together, but like, it's so crazy how you can just clearly see their dynamic in their acting alone. Like in Durin's like mannerisms alone. He seems like a kid when he's around his dad. It's just crazy. It's crazy to me every time I see it.
Much farther seeing than our own. Defy their will, and this entire kingdom might fall.
I understand it though. I'm not even like I'm frustrated, but I understand like why he's so scared, and I feel like somehow it's still gonna happen because I think that's how the balrog's gonna come into play. They're gonna,
for sure.
They're gonna dig deeper, not listen to their papa. Consequences. I love that. That's some great directing right there and acting.
Bro, everything to do with the scenes with these people of the story are just something else.
Don't even have to say a word. Don't even have to say anything. Almost got me, Durin.
I know, right?
Oh my god. Like I literally had tears forming and I was like, no, I don't want to take off my headset and my glasses to wipe these away. Oh. But.
Hey, hold up.
He's going to be like, Dad, see? Yep.
It's literally in front of his eyes.
Elrond, come back, buddy. Oh my gosh. Why am I getting chills? Friendship? Brotherhood? Even though it's going to be their downfall? But I don't care.
We must.
A dynamic I didn't see coming, but I don't hate. Interesting. Very interesting. And I'm like, this is me. I'm like, where's Halbrand at? That's my question right now. What is this guy up to?
My queen.
Oh, can she not see? Is that what they're telling me?
Oh, she's being guided. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Captain, Captain, where is he?
We know he's alive. I don't know why they want to make this
I think this is what I'll say though. There's a lot of people probably who are watching this for the first time too.
Yeah.
You know? But
I have no idea.
Or watching Lord of the Rings?
Guarantee you there is an audience out there. So at least, you know, for them.
There's probably people that watch that is House of the Dragon pre the
Yeah.
Game of Thrones?
It's a
Yeah.
Game of Thrones?
prequel, yeah.
Yeah, there's probably people that will watch that before they watch Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, and there's certain things that I know that's bound to happen, but it's still a great journey. And I think that's kind of for me right now. I'm like, it's still a good journey, but even though I'm like, he's fine. Like, hopefully this doesn't. I don't want it to be the entire episode. That's my thing. I don't want this plot to be like, where's my son? Oh, he's alive in the last 5 minutes.
Just gonna throw it out there that heat makes your hair frizzy, and everybody's hair's still looking good.
How long have we been clear of it?
Nearly a mile.
I see.
You don't see. That's
We all are thinking the
we're
same
such
thing.
jerks.
Valendia. Valendia.
He just fakes walking away.
He's like slowly back.
He just marches
That would
in
be
place,
so-
but quieter and quieter.
That'd be so evil.
What if she just like exploded? You know.
Should have just let us alone. Eleanor, you tried to tell me more.
Oh my god. I feel like I'm being so rude, but I wish I could just skip past this. I feel like every time we come to the Hardfoots, I learn nothing new. It's the same thing every time. And it's like very annoying at this
Well,
point.
Joseph loves the Hardfoots. You should fight.
I
him.
do,
No,
but I
here's-
understand what you're saying
Yeah.
because like it's now at this point because it's about how you end it. I'm at a point now where it's very repetitive. It's like, can we get something new other than he's doing these really cool things and then people stand in awe or they stand in shock and we don't learn anything about the stranger other than yes, he's creating life. That's cool. But what else is there for this plot?
It's frustrating to me because literally it's super cool. And they do nothing with it every
With it,
single
yeah.
time. All this stuff that just happened. What did any of that mean? What did any of it mean? What did it tell us that we did not already know?
Well,
Nothing.
I think that was the first time that like the entire village saw him use his power. Before it was just kind of like select people with the wolf and this and that. I think that was the first time that everybody saw that he's powerful but potentially dangerous. I know what you're saying though. Like the steps are still repeating even with that.
Yeah.
Come on. We're wasting time.
Oh, they have to get suspicious right near the main characters.
Blast it.
First, give it to me raw. Now blast it.
Right?
Yeah. Durin is just he's feeling away with
Give me the
Elrond.
meat. Give me that
Give me the
raw
meat. Give it to me raw.
Elrond, you save it, Durin.
Dang. Durin is just like, I'm just going to be emotional AF in this episode. I'm just going to cry
Yeah,
every
bro.
single scene. Come on, we were right there.
Yeah.
We were so close to the Balrog. Come on.
Elrond is as much a brother to me as if he'd been fired in my own mother's womb.
Jesus.
Dang. I think he's just going to go for it.
There's no reason not to at this point now.
Just need a little bit of time. Just needed a day. Yes.
Went that way. Go on now.
Oh,
Bro, she stays doing dumb stuff though. Oh yeah, we gotta go. Let's go!
oh, you
shot.
gotta be kidding me.
No
What
shot.
the-
It's over with.
Stranger, what are you doing? Taking a nap?
I gotta go find my bro.
I should have left her in the sea where I found her.
What is going on? What is happening? Okay, That was am I the only one that just felt like that came out of left field?
I think he's just being an emotional father. Yeah. But it was a little bit kind of like, let me just say this controversial thing out of anger.
Like, I feel like there's so many more things that would have been in character that he would have said than that.
She looks A-okay.
Yes.
Like, not a scratch.
There's my dad.
For they do not know what they have begun.
Oh, snap.
Whoa.
Oh, she finna turn up.
Numenor will return.
He said, hell nah.
Basically saying, season 2, we will be back.
Not without me.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we're really doing this, huh? We're really committing. This is...
It would be grand if you weren't right all the time.
I just love the out of focus extra in the background that you can see nodding. Yep. I don't know why. It just touched my heart, and I can't tell you why, but it did.
Like, bro, he is struggling, man. Look at this guy. And then you got him on that bumpy horse, bro. That is crazy.
We are going to dig.
I guess that was a mood setter.
He's like, nothing gets me going. Like a heated conversation about my dad and how much he sucks.
Seal it up.
Bruh, watch the leaf be the reason. Dude, that would actually be hilarious. He's like, her?
Literally.
Did I call it? Okay, they're setting us up for the finale.
I'm assuming Mount Doom is what woke it up.
No, yeah, that's my assumption too. That's what I'm thinking as well.
Or shall we call it instead, Lord Father?
They're literally spelling it out.
It's a good episode. Was it good? It was not, no, it was good. There were some interesting decisions. Like with the stranger, I'm a little bit curious. I guess curious like where the heck he was. Was he taking a nap? Maybe they already addressed it and I missed it. Like I know that he's in the woods. They're gonna go find him. They set that up for the finale, where obviously those people are gonna run into him. I was kind of hoping that was happening in here, so that left me a little bit disappointed. The thing that was good though about his arc, because we kind of talked about it briefly watching it, where it's like repetitive arcs, but this one it was like the whole community saw what he's able to bring through his power, which I liked a lot, and I thought that brought a little bit of closure with that, but not all the way obviously with this story arc, because the tease with the 3 weird ladies and what that could mean. I thought it was kind of weird how they kind of just left then. They're like, F you, fire, peace out. I mean, obviously they're not there for them. They're there for the stranger, so that's the justification for it. I just thought it was kind of weird. I felt like that would have been a perfect moment for the stranger to show up, be like, oh, let's do this. But I guess not. That's next week. So yeah, I think that was the one arc that left me a little bewildered. And usually I love the Harfoots. I love their arc. But this one was probably my least favorite. Best one, clearly Elrond and Durin. Their brothership, their companionship, their relationship is just beautiful. It's they don't even have to say words in this episode to understand what they need to say or what they don't want to say, but they have to say it. And it was just really, really good. That's great job from the directors, great job from the cinematographers, the actors who had to pull that off. I thought that was the best scene in this episode. No dialogue. That's the best kind of stuff, when you don't even have to have somebody say lines to understand what they're feeling. Love it. 10 out of 10 for that scene. It was cool seeing the Balrog. Even though I made a joke about watch this leaf, which I don't think that's the reason. If that was the reason, that is literally the stupidest thing ever. And I will hate this show for that.
After Mount Doom is formed and throws rock as far as to the Harfoots from the Southlands.
Yep.
Leaf wakes it up.
And that's the thing. Like when you mentioned that, the whole like, yeah, I think it's Mount Doom. Yeah. And I agree because
it's gotta be.
It's gotta be. Because like even with the Harfoots, like you just said, with like those weird things that were on fire, and usually it means when an evil presence is awakening. Yeah, cool. It's Mount Doom. And I like that. And the Balrog's just getting ready to, fully wake up and start destroying things. And I think that's going to happen in the next episode. Maybe it's just a tease for season 2. Because at the same time, the way they ended the scene with Durin and his wife, it sounded like it's not going to happen anytime soon, them digging, right? It sounded like season 2. And at the same time, I kind of want them to be around a little bit longer, right? Like, I don't want them to die, so I'm kind of fine. But I also, like, dude, you just showed me the Balrog. Was that just a tease for season 2, or is this going to happen next week? So that's my only concern, because if that is the case with the tease for season 2, I'm annoyed, because why the heck did you show that in the trailer? I will be pissed about that. That is terrible marketing. That's showing way too much. But I don't think that's the case. That'll only be my reaction if they do that for a season 2 tease. But yeah, Elrond Durin, that arc, the way they ended it was pretty solid. I thought it was very interesting how the wife reacted to the whole situation, very much in anger and frustration, but I understand. And the scenes with Durin and his father, the king, absolutely fantastic on a character level. I understand where the father's at, where in his position, he feels this is going to lead to something evil. And you just don't get it, son. And there was even people before my time that are even wiser. And I'm not even saying I'm the wisest. That's great. I think that was very interesting in his approach. And I felt like Durin's reaction was also valid too, because he's trying to save his friend. But the king's also thinking of the long run. So yeah, but also Durin's thinking of the long run. It's like, it's the elf. Like, it's their race. What the heck? Like, we have the opportunity to give them something. That's all fantastic. And I wish there was a little bit more of Halbrand now going to the Galadriel, the war subplot, or the aftermath of the battle, I mean. I thought it was an interesting choice with Theo and Galadriel. Didn't hate it. Thought it was just interesting and don't think it was bad. I think the whole point of it was to give Galadriel and Theo both their will to move on and move forward and not have the blame, like not have that guilt always on them. I think that was the point, especially with like their last scene solely together when they're out in the woods before the orcs come. I think that's the gist. At least that's what I think the whole point of for their dialogue together was. And yeah, overall, it's fine. I thought it was something that made sense. It was an episode that clearly is like, it has the right feel for what happened last week. I don't need a bunch of action. I need to know what's happening with these characters. How are they moving forward? What's going to happen? Are we going to continue a war with the orcs at Mordor? Guess what? We are. I thought that was great. I think that's a really good tease for season 2. For Numenor to still be up at arms with the elves to attack Adar and his legion. I think that was really good. A little weird too with Elendil, his reaction, and how long they are pulling this Isildur death arc is a little jarring to me. And I was honestly thinking he was going to just show up, be like, "Dad, I'm okay." "It's okay, buddy. I love you. Sorry, Galadriel. I was being a dick. I didn't mean it." So I think that's kind of, I'm going to say it. I think it's kind of dumb because I think a lot of the people, I'm going to say this, 80% of the audience, I'm just throwing a number out there. 80% of the audience, I feel like, knows Lord of the Rings, just the movies, right? And that's a good amount of your audience to just be
probably
like,
more.
maybe even more, maybe 90%. But I still think 80 is a fair number to say, because I feel like there still is an audience that is experiencing this for the first time, right? So there is still that edge of they're having like, oh my God, is he alive? Is he dead? What's gonna happen? There's still that element for other people, and that's fine, right? I'm not them. This is just my experience. And it's a little kind of underwhelming for this subplot that they're doing for Isildur when they could be doing something else. He's dead. No, he's not. And that's always annoying with like prequel films, especially. Like I just experienced that with Black Widow. Every single scene when there's a scene of tension with her, she's fine. Well, I mean, later on she's not, but she's fine. Like I don't feel anything from this. So I think that and the way they ended The Stranger in this arc was my biggest gripes, but I still thought it was a solid episode. I visually, yet again, it's great. The score is fantastic. The development with certain characters is always just amazing, specifically Elrond and Durin. And overall, I think this show is starting to become, at least for me, it's good, but yet again, it still is taking its time. With arcs that don't need to take their time, like with Isildur, they don't need to stretch that. They don't. They could have done something else. And I'd be very curious to ask one of the producers or writers why they decided to do that. Was it for the intention of new people? When you know for a fact your audience is going to be people that have already seen or have read the books and know it front and back. So interesting approach. Don't think I would have done it, but be curious to know why they're doing that. What it's going to lead to. Is it just going to lead to a cliche moment of the dad and son hugging and that was literally it? Or is there a bigger purpose? Like maybe he sees something at Mordor that no one else does. That could be cool and add development to his character, to his sinister side. I don't know. I'm just throwing theories out there. I would like to think that, because I think that would at least be worth somewhat of it. Not fully, because I still feel like it's not. This arc is not worth 2 episodes to me. This arc is worth half an episode. But yet I haven't seen how it ends. Huh?
The "Where is my son" arc.
Yeah. Like especially since we know he's all right.
Yeah,
but he's fine. He's fine. He's not fine in Fellowship in the opening, but you know, some people might not know that, and that's where
Isildur? I give. Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
He gets like shot in the back or something, right? And
yeah,
yeah. Other than that, it's still a really solid episode. I felt like, yeah, there was a lot of dialogue. It was a very heavy dialogue episode, but comparing it to 1 through 4, episodes 1 through 4, it felt a lot stronger, especially with the moments with Elrond and Durin, where it's giving you that payoff of these characters that they have been building up really well. Yeah, so that's really my thoughts on this episode. I am still excited for next week. I'm excited to see how it all ends. I think how they set up certain things besides Isildur, and even though I complained a little bit about The Stranger, I think the setup, I'm still intrigued to see what happens with these weird witches, whatever, and see how that all ends up. The balrog, I hope it's not just a tease. And I'm assuming Ish is going to get real in the caves. But it's kind of a lot, honestly. Even for a show that's an hour and 15 minutes usually, it's kind of a lot to do within that time frame, honestly, which is why I'm a little bit worried that some arcs that they have set up will just be set up for season 2. And we might not get a lot of, what's the word? Not payoff, but completion. We might not get a complete arc for certain things that they're building up. And that's fine, because seasons are meant to do that. They're meant to leave you with little breadcrumbs here and there for the next season. I totally get that, but I feel like there's some arcs that should at least have somewhat of I guess in this phrase, a payoff. And I'm hoping we get that, especially with the Balrog, since they literally have marketed that. And I hope to God that's not the only scene we see of him. or it. I mean, yeah, that's my thoughts. Still excited. Solid episode. Not the best, but not the worst. Yeah. Richard or Tim, what are your thoughts? Are you excited for next week? Or are you still kind of in this are you in this lull space with it? Was this episode actually worse? Did you not really have a good experience with it? Was it something that just maybe gave you more feelings of episodes 1 through 4? Curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, for me, I feel like this episode was so far, this episode to me was the weakest of the second act episodes that we've had.
Yeah.
I think it definitely is still a stronger episode than what we saw. It's definitely stronger than 3 or 4 without a shadow of a doubt. But it's in a weird kind of limbo for me. Of where they, in my opinion, had decent pacing, but the kind of sludge that we felt was through the incompletion of certain arcs, while also getting payoff for other ones. So it was this weird dissonance, I feel in a way, where it's okay, we paid this off, and that was kind of I would say a long con kind of thing. So for example, Elrond having the mithril and actually giving it back to Durin after all this time, after all these episodes, and where someone could have easily forgotten that he even had it with him, which I did. I completely forgot until I was oh snap. And it seemed like Durin was actually kind of surprised too, oh snap. And so we got something like that. But then we're gonna act we're gonna go on this huge where's Waldo for, you know what I mean? So it's just it's stuff like that where it's this weird push and pull. And yeah, some things with some characters again hitting really strong beats of emotion in literally anything and everything that has to do with Durin. And then we have this sudden turn out of nowhere where oh, what's his name? The guy I really like. The guy whose son is missing. The guy
Elendil.
Yeah, Elendil, thank you. Out of nowhere, it's just you know what? I should have never pulled her up on the boat. And it's what just happened? Oh, yeah. That's what you got out of this? Okay, what? You know what I'm saying? What is going on? You know what I'm saying? You're this war-hardened guy, this man that's been at sea, this guy that's done all this training, all this other kind of stuff. You understand, you went with Gladriel to look at the texts and all this other kind of stuff, so you know what's going on, you know what's at stake, you know all of this. And then it's and then to go back to that, it just is weird and out of nowhere. So that for me was kind of what this episode was like. It was just really wonky and whimsical in weird ways. We see every time the stranger does something, some unintended consequence happens. Somehow everyone is confused by this. And the whole thing with the tree was confusing me too, because it was what do they want the fruit to come down? Are they thinking that he's finding a way to shake the tree so the fruit comes down? Are they thinking that like what he's gonna grow a new tree out of the old tree? Like what is happening? Like I don't quite understand what they want, and maybe it's something that I like just didn't hear or like I didn't catch. That could very well be the case, but I was like, okay. And then the fact that like the little Dumbo girl stepped up for, I'm like, I don't know what about this situation is telling you to like get closer to this like violently shaking tree with this man who seems to only create chaos and wreak havoc like amongst your peoples. Like I don't know what like none of that made any sense to me, and so when it broke, everyone was like, like that didn't make much sense to me because I'm like, historically speaking, he's always caused some sort of problem. Like when he was being kept hidden, and then like for some unknown reason, he ended up stumbling his way like into the camp or whatever. Remember, he like caused fires or something like that. It was like something crazy like that, and that was kind of like everybody's introduction to him, you know. And outside of like Nori and the friend like trying to obviously they knew him beforehand. We're trying to keep him uh away from him, right? Because they knew that they would freak out. But it's like the whole rest of the group like found out about him that way. And it's been just like foible after foible anytime he engages himself in anything that they're doing. So that was a weird one to me, and then next thing we know, like of course like his magic worked in a far more powerful and productive way than they could have imagined. And they're all happy. Wow, this is so great. This is awesome. Let's load it all up. And you know it's like a weird, you know what I mean? It's just it is a lot of stuff like that where it was like just weird, like based on the way that they set certain things up within certain characters, it just didn't seem to add up to me. And so I think those are a lot of the issues that I was having. Again, I feel like the pacing of this episode, I don't think I had any pacing issues with this. Like I don't feel like I had any issues with like when we're going over here with these people, with over there with those people or anything like that. It was more so of just some of the content that was happening and more so like the character work that was happening there within some of those environments and within some of those scenes, because they seem to either like literally go back, like take a step back in character development, or like do something weird like with it, or just stuff like that. Um, I like that we got to see more of these bad, mysterious angel demon people. Whoever these people are, it's super sick. I love that we have no idea who they are. I love the mystery of that. I love the fact that now we know for certain, like, oh yeah, like they're chaotic. Like they're chaotic. Like literally, if they wanted to, they could have killed all those people, and they just didn't. They just were like, you know what? Let me take all your fire, and then let me burn all of your stuff, and then go away. Like, what is that about? I don't know. Tune in next time to find out. That was lit. I really enjoyed that. I felt like just that level of chaos is something that's like really awesome to me. I think that that's like fun. Having that mystery, that cat and mouse. Obviously, we know that they are looking for the stranger. And now it's kind of like a mad dash of like the Harfoots trying to go help find the stranger, maybe just whatever, just alert them or something like that. Let them know like, hey, buddy, you got crazy people after you. And so, but just to know what is the dynamic of their relationship, that's a wonderful thing to know about. And then with Home Dude, the king guy. Oh, it's not Arendelle, but that's the first name that came to mind. It's not Harfoot because that's the name of a people. Oh my God.
King guy Halbrand?
Yeah, Halbrand. I knew it was something with the L. It was something with the H. It was something. Anyway, Halbrand. This happens a lot to me with names and stuff, bro. I swear. Halbrand. I'm like, my man's was like on the brink of death, like over on the side of the road, virtually in a ditch. They had him. Man's is still bleeding, like was sweating, like, all pale and nasty. They said his like wound went sour. Then this man, they got him up, had him walk around, no assistance, no aid. He got on a horse. He's riding to Timbuktu with this wound. You got to be kidding me. There's literally no way. Like, they didn't say like all right, let's put some little potion or something on it to, like, it'll help bond the wound temporarily. Give me some fake magic, something to make that make sense. Because I'm like, we literally just saw him on the bed, like, dying. Y'all were talking like he was going to die, like, soon. Like, he was looking bad. And now he's getting on a horse. It's not even like he's riding like behind like Gladriel or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They're like on the same horse or something. He's like literally riding his own horse. Something about just that whole scenario to me was hysterical. Like, just I don't know. It's like just the reality of that to me. It just all seems so chaotic. Like, why? Like, what is happening? Like, I thought they were gonna send someone to go, because what's her name was saying like, oh yeah, we'll gather up the potions and the yada yada yada. So I'm like, oh, okay, like they're gonna go, something's gonna happen where there's gonna be some sort of Amazon delivery or something that's happening here, and they're gonna be able to get the stuff. But like, no, man's is literally just finna ride out there like crazy, no band-aid, no nothing, no gauze, like wild. So yeah, that was crazy. And then of course we got to speak on like the closing image of literally them just having Southland and then it going off and then going into Mordor. I was like, okay, that to me was a crazy stylistic break. They could do whatever they want, it's their show, but that to me was crazy. Either you say nothing and like it just ends all mysterious, or like and the people that know already know, or like he just says it, like, and it's just like that's just what the name is now. But like that was kind of crazy to me because it was like it's like they might as well put something on the screen that was like Mordor, Texas, USA. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, yo, what? Like, what just happened? What am I watching right now? You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, all that said, I think it was a decent episode. I think it was the weaker of the second acts, but I feel like it was stronger than what we saw in 3 and 4. And I'd probably even say 2 at this point. Yeah, it does set me up to be to look forward to the final episode of the season, see what they do there. It goes without saying, again, like all the scenes between Elrond and Durin, and then even Durin and his father, the king, were all incredible. Whatever's happening there with the directing in those scenes and the acting in those scenes and the writing of those scenes, they're literally magical. Like, I kid you not. Like, they are literally magical. Every single one of them that I see are beautiful from top to bottom. So, yeah.
It's kind of in the middle of the pack, I guess. It's drawing... I think this episode is just drawing some things out that really are not necessary. I think a large part, if not more or less the entirety of this audience, has seen Lord of the Rings, so we know Isildur's fine. We know Elendil has to make it to the end of the show. I think the show, also this episode, this show always kind of felt like it was going to play things pretty safe. And this episode did. This episode played things really safe. They killed one character for us to be mildly sad about. Honestly, like the entire main cast looks great. They just got hit. The same wall of ash that incinerated villagers, took limbs, charred skin, melted bone. Galadriel just kind of stood there and let it hit her, and she got up and she was like, "No, good, bro." Like, she just,
the one death that would have been worth it was Arendir. I feel like that would have been a bold.
It off.
Like, I agree with you. Yeah, somebody should have like.
A ton of them should have ate it. The entire main cast came out looking great. It is very strange. Like, even just walking up Mount Doom, Sam and Frodo have like charred faces and burned feet and like black hands from all the soot. And these people had a wall of ash wash over them. And before the end of the episode, they're looking pretty good. Like, and even some of them at the beginning of the episode are looking pretty good. Bronwyn looks like the same as last week. She looks like she brought her own fallout shelter with her and set it up real quick, hopped in, tore it down, and came on out. I do think the episode had a couple of issues with pacing. Not once, but twice we had scenes with Durin and his wife that were more or less the same. We had 2 scenes of both of them just being like, "Your dad sucks," like, and not even necessarily from each other. We had a really strange about face with the Harfoots where, 2 weeks ago, they're like, "You know what? You guys suck. You guys get in the back of the line." And then this week, the guy's like, "No, that's not who we are. We stick together." And he says that after they kind of sort of pseudo-exile a stranger, and not when they straight up banish one of their own to the back of the line, which is a place notoriously reserved for those who are begrudged by the rest of the village, I suppose. That's how it comes off to me. Like the back of the line is, traditionally speaking, where those who are in the worst standing with the rest of the Harfoots go. So it's just kind of a weird about face and some funky pacing. It, like I said, it felt like the episode played a lot of things really safe. Like, Theo walks in to a burn victim unit where people have injuries that are the kind of thing that you would see in like a movie about Gettysburg. like people who got to chomp on blocks of wood because, sorry, that leg's got to go. Like, that's the kind of stuff that he's walking into. And like, I almost feel like too many people are perfectly fine. And I get it.
Yeah, I had the same feeling.
I get it. This is one of those things where people are like, "Well, Tim, you should suspend your disbelief more because it's a fantasy." Fine. But there's nothing about this fantasy that tells me that a 700 or 800 degree wall of fire, smoke, soot, and ash should treat these people any differently than it's treating these people dying in the burn victims unit. There's nothing set in this fantasy world that told me that these specific characters cast fire resistance before their big war scene last week. Like, it played it safe, and I think the thing about it that kind of bothers me the most about playing it that safe is that there isn't really a given reason for it. There's no reason other than plot armor, a term that I've noticed a couple of us here have started using a lot more lately. There's no other reason other than plot armor or convenience that these characters survived more or less unscathed, really. Like, all of them are fine. Bronwyn got a nearly fatal injury last week and showed up looking better this week. she is A-okay. Her wound did not get infected by the immense amount of smoke in the air. Also, if the burns didn't take people out, the smoke inhalation probably would have done it. Like the hardest blow that was dealt to any of the main characters is one of them can only see gray blurs for now. Like she's more or less mostly blind. And that was the biggest physical blow dealt. I do think in terms of even though there's a bit of repetition on the whole Durin and his father and just multiple scenes playing out where they're talking about how much he sucks. That being said, it was still probably, at least for me, the most engaging plot of the week out of the concurrent plots we have running right now. I do like the relationship between Durin the Fourth and Elrond. I think it's honestly, I think it's genuinely sweet. And I am enjoying the scenes. The guy who's playing the king, the Dwarven king, he's really good. That guy is super good. Holy moly. He honestly might have been the performance of the week for me. Honestly, was him. I think he's doing an amazing job. And it's, it's kind of the mix where we're all like, just look at the leaf, just look in the hole in the wall, just this, just that. But at the same time, part of me understands, like, he knew it's possible there could be a ton of mithril on the other side. He knows that this could be the salvation for the elves. He's aware of all of this. And just because it turns out to be true doesn't necessarily mean that his decision would change if he knew everything would pan out. So I know we're supposed to be like rooting against him because he's clearly kind of the antagonistic force of the dwarves, but there is a reason that he has kept his people alive for so long. So I think that kind of is what makes that the most enjoyable conflict of the show for me right now, is between Durin and his father, an up and coming prince who may or may not be king someday. We don't know. Who wants to take risks and wants to do all these things that his father saw in his mind's eye him do, but feels suffocated by his dad, who is trying to entrench him in honestly kind of oxymoronic tradition, because in order for Durin to be who his father sees, he kind of has to break through these traditions. And I think it's a good setup for a relatively classic conflict in a way. I mean, we know Elrond's okay, That being said, we see some of the risky creative freedoms of the show starting to rear their head. The balrog has been introduced via falling leaf. And at this moment, I refuse to believe that is what woke it up.
Same here.
Yo, that's my head canon.
Oh no,
that's my head canon. It felt a breeze. No, but I mean, like I said, those are some of the creative freedoms we talked about before, where in initial tokenesque canon, no balrogs are seen or heard from or mentioned in the entirety of the Second Age, just the first and the third. And I guess the last thing I'll say, just like Rich, is the ending of the episode was weird. The episode ends with, I thought they were going to call like this little subsection of the Southlands. I thought they were going to name it Adar, after like the great victory that he just helped them win down there. Like the first city in the Southlands would be named after this great commander who just totally turned the fight around in their favor and more or less kind of won them a war. Like that was a pretty big shutout that he slammed on him at the end via Indiana Jones style. But and then as the show does occasionally do, like, it's not often enough to even have it be noticeable, but it'll be like, hey, by the way, we're in Numenor right now, or what. It'll throw up a location, and for this it does that, and it says Southlands, and then Southlands burns away and it says Mordor. And I'm like, what in a craft like film, television, theater, what have you, where the idea of going against show don't tell should either have an incredibly intentional purpose or be the punchline to something. Like, this was just like a literal tell don't show. Literally, like, letters on the screen in front of us being like, Mordor. And I would genuinely, if I was an executive producer on the show, which in TV, executive producers have more creative control than they do in film. If I was an executive producer on this show, I think I would actually give someone kind of a reprimand for that and be like, this is a visual art. And the way you communicated that this is Mordor, you already had Mount Doom explode onto screen, out of, like, literally explode into existence in front of its audience. And you still felt the need to boot up your After Effects template to make sure that the audience knew that this was actually what was going to become Mordor. That was a weird creative decision when we're talking about an art form that is built around show don't tell. Like I said, if you're going to tell and not show, it's either got to be because it's a joke, or it's got to be like a really intentional, well thought out purpose. This was not either one. Like, the audience already had it spelt out for them. They didn't have to literally spell it out for them. But for some reason, they felt the need to do that, and then they threw $1 billion at it.
Yeah, but Tim, they did show you and not tell you, right? Because, like, they showed you the word and he didn't say it. So they did do it. So you're wrong, Tim. You're wrong. You need to learn more, and they're right. They did it right. So there it is.
You know what? It's true. I didn't get a degree. I got a certificate of completion, like a millennial.
Yeah, that was our reaction, guys. Episode 7. We have one more week, one more episode, and I hope it's a good ending. I hope we get a solid conclusion to this very interesting experience. I think this is, if anything, this has been an interesting experience with this show. Lot of weird, dull moments, but then a really, really high moment last week, and even episode 5 I enjoyed. I think that was the show starting its engines, and then episode 6 was like full throttle. Episode 7 brought it down a bit, but it's understanding because they just had a big epic battle, that happened with Game of Thrones. They had Battle of the Bastards, then the next episode, still slow, it was still great for the characters. So that's what happened here, but still wonky with some things. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. But most importantly, don't forget to be blessed.